So quickly, the interface looks something like this. You would click and drag to drop your WAV files and other files into the playlist creator. And then all the playlists and tracks are going to show up in this part of the browser. And then when you select that, it's going to display what's inside that folder. And you can auto tag tracks by simply clicking a track and dragging it, or a folder and dragging it, which is very handy, very useful feature. And it has some other features about collecting contacts, creating emails, creating mailing lists, viewing reports, watermarking tracks. If you have libraries enabled, which I have library enabled, you can set up a site where you can have people listen to your music for licensing purposes. It's a very snappy interface, flows very quick, and generally you can get to parts that you need to get to within the file menu structure. And it also updates pretty quickly as well. So the other thing is, once you're into the library system, you can assemble contacts, as I've done here. So I have maybe a couple hundred here, and I just added them all. You can choose this button here. You can add their email, information, and maybe a little message. They have other ways of doing it through a bulk mail system as well, but I wanted to do it this way. You have stats on your library, which I've just started mine, and I can kind of see what's going on. Are people actually listening to the material? Are they visiting the site, etc., etc.? You have settings. You can choose how the site is viewed and what kind of access is involved. And so then we have like the main part of the library that's going to show what you have going on with tracks, playlists, albums, artists, and contacts for yourself so people can get a hold of you. So for instance, if I go into playlists, I don't have any in here, but I have albums. So we can see all the albums that I have as part of my library. And playlists are kind of unique in this system. They're much more than a playlist. It's like a little presentation system where you can have video and photos and text information within the playlist to help showcase the playlist, along with any other pertinent information. So if you go to my actual DISCOAC site, you'll see a little bit of information, the tracks that I featured, and then the tags, which is what music supervisors are all about. So that when they select any of these tags, it's going to show them a full page of just the content that's in your library that is applicable to that tag. So that's precisely what music supervisors are all about. They don't want to waste time looking through lots and lots and lots of stuff because they get inundated with so much stuff. So this helps them to distill some of that information. And so what's very unique is the one-page design going on in Disco, where they take up the full page so you can see the track title, some tag information, and actually be able to play the WAV file and then actually either download to favorite or to add it to one of their playlists on their Disco. So every time they click a tag, it's going to show the relevant tracks for that tag. And this would be like the home page. So here I also have my featured albums, and then I have my basic artist page, which I just started. And this is a real mind blower as well. It's going to list all of the tracks on one page that I have uploaded into this library that I have properly categorized as part of a CMDES repertoire. So we're talking about almost 400 tracks on one page, all previewable. So what we're talking about here is like my indie discography as one page with tags included. And so you can hear, if they don't want to hear piano, they can skip right out. If they don't want to hear, pop songs, they can skip right out. They're going to get an idea based on the tags, save them the time of previewing the track. Very handy. A lot more features on this tab here. So you can choose by mood and feel, which is, of course, the sync world is all about that. Instrumentation, etc., etc., etc. You also have additional playlists you can set up. And again, the playlists, there's much more to go on about the playlists because they're much deeper than meets the eye as far as what you can do with them. They can function differently for a music supervisor than they would for, let's say, a composer who's trying to show his material. Because a music supervisor might be sending the information to a producer, whereas the composer or supplier is going to send the music to a music supervisor or directly to the producer but 9 times out of 10, somebody's got to check over the material before it finally gets sent off to its final destination for review. Lastly, we'll go over the key features that I like that made me try Disco. And this is not an endorsement. I'm simply trying the program, and we'll see how it goes. But one of them was, of course, auto tagging, using AI to quickly tag your file information. And the tags, as you can see, they populate right here. And if you select a track, and you can, of course, take out tags you don't want or add in more tags. And you can also get to the tags by going into the track information, where you would be able to view tags or add tags, etc. And you can quickly update album information or playlist information by choosing Edit Playlist. And so you would go in here and it would show all the open playlists on the right side here. And you could go in to Edit All. And let's say if I wanted to put composer information or other pertinent information, such as my contact information, like cmdes@yahoo.com. I could do that, and it's going to save that information across the entire playlist. And then when people go to download that file, that information is going to be in the comment section of the file, as long as it's an MP3 or an AIFF. So it's going to keep that information along with the file, which is very important because they have to be able to keep track of who to send contact information to when they want to reach out to people. So auto tagging, good pricing. So I compared this to other competing vendors, and they have some of the best in terms of bundling how many tracks per features, et cetera, et cetera. They have good pricing so far, and it's still kind of expensive, but you have to have a good system. And what's good is that this will be a music supervisor ecosystem, and so we're skipping through a lot of extra work that doesn't need to be done by having a music supervisor dedicated ecosystem, which I kind of skipped ahead. But so then the other thing I liked was the one-page design that I outlined earlier, because that way everything is very quick for people who want to review material or submit material, and they don't have to worry about going through tabs and pages and clicking this and clicking that. Everything's right on one page if you want it to be. But I especially like the idea of doing a one-page discography for an artist, just because that's pretty powerful to have that sitting there available for music supervisors. So another thing is we have fast information updating across the system. So if I edit this title here and I choose save, it's going to show up in my website over here pretty quickly. And I don't have to wait for a long time for the information to repopulate or resave it additionally elsewhere. A lot of good feedback information based on analytics of reports. There's a couple different ways you can do reports. You can do reports from within the main Disco system, and if you have a library, you can do reports from within the library. And it's going to be very complex information that deals with different kinds of information for different kinds of professionals. So a music supervisor is going to use reports one way, where I'm going to use reports a different way. Okay, so then we have a good interface for different kinds of suppliers, because again, this is for two very different kinds of suppliers. One is getting the music and one is giving the music, and that's a very different experience. But it somehow manages to work well for both because of the cloud-based system, the consolidation of features, the optimization, if you will. So it's a good interface and it's quick. Okay, and so then you can easily see also, the last one is, if people are actually checking out material, what they're checking out. And Google is the deepest program ever, but it's very challenging to see feedback on information very quickly. Whereas this one, you'll be very quickly able to see which client is downloading what tracks, how much of it, etc., etc. So that's why I chose Disco, and we'll see how it goes. And I'm a composer since about age 12. I'm 40 years old now. I spent 12 years in San Francisco, California, developing music for music libraries, developing songs for my own personal independent releases and radio, being involved with the musical realm for all that time and all the vast experiences involved with that. I have over 1,000 works in the music industry world, and I have several publishers, including APM Music, Sonaton, BMG, Sonic Librarian, Music Junkies. I have representatives from those companies, which are outstanding companies. And so I'm doing this as well so that I can have my own sort of free-form music for things that don't quite fit briefs, or things where I want to create my own unique collections, or just to add supplement to the material that's already out there so that I can make additional income from my own independent licensing. So that's why I got involved with Disco, and the slickness of the interface and the consolidation of having all my material available in one place where I can also download that meta information or the contact information or various kinds of things very quickly. So if I want to have it again for my own one-stop destination, so I don't have to look all over the place for everything and have everything all scattered around, I can see it right here inside Disco. So that's why I chose that, and we'll see how it goes.